across lives, between realms, and within a child's innocent words, the expected order of existence often dissolves. Welcome to the Charon Files. The stories you are about to hear are testimonies from living witnesses of what moves beyond understanding, of what refuses to be explained. Each of them stood at the edge of what is known and looked into what lies beyond it. My name is Charon, Ferryman of the Dead, the one who waits at that edge. What follows is what they brought back. May they prepare you for your own future encounters. We perceive our lives as distinct, a linear progression from a singular beginning to an inevitable end. We mark the passage of time, believing it to be an unyielding current, carrying us forward without deviation. Yet there are moments, profound and unsettling, when this perception falters, revealing a deeper truth beneath the surface of what we call reality. When the boundaries of a single life begin to fray, when the expected order of things dissolves, and reality itself stutters, we glimpse a different fabric, one far more fluid and interconnected than we comprehend. These are not mere anomalies. They are echoes of a truth long forgotten, demonstrating that our personal reality can shift, that the past and the future are not always distinct, and that what lies beyond is never truly separate from what is now. These testimonies stand as evidence of that profound, unsettling fluidity. Patricia from Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, shares her encounters with out-of-body experiences and near-death insights, revealing a cyclical nature to incarnation that challenges conventional understanding of passage beyond life.
30 years ago, I had an OBE when my guide showed up in my room as a physical being. He took my soul out into the universe and downloaded a great deal of info into my soul. Since then, I have had one NDE. Same thing, more info. There were a lot of concepts that I couldn't figure out until I came across them in books or people sharing their stories. One that I have just recently understood is when we are completed with an incarnation, we are programmed by books and TV and movies to go into the light. Except Poltergeist, where they told Carol Ann, "Don't go into the light, Carol Ann." What I was shown at the tunnel of light is the gateway to a loop that returns us back to this earth and to another incarnation over and over again. A soul learns, over many lives, that the highest law of the universe or source is love. This holds all things together. The law that works in tandem with that law is free will. If you read each NDE, you will find there is a space devoid of light that is not frightening but soothing, and the light in the distance, and will choose to go towards that light. This is the moment that must be interrupted. In this space, choose to say or call on your guides, "I wish to go home," and or, "I choose to see this loop from my true home with Source, away from this planet." You will pull back and not enter the light, but return back to Source, where you will see this planet and this light loop that pulls so many souls back into another incarnation. By using your highest law, free will, you can choose your own path. Personally, I feel this is one of my missions here. To share this awareness to those who are open and without fear, so they too can step away from the loop of this planet. Reminds me of a moth to a flame. I am a gay man. As a child, I went through physical and emotional abuse. I was also abducted at 10 and sexually assaulted. I grew up a scared gay kid in a very religious home. In my early 20s, I was suicidal. This experience, 30 years, healed all of that trauma. It left me completely. Heart stopped. Went totally white out. Rose up and saw my body as I moved forward. There was a beautiful woman, long blonde hair to her shoulders, sparkling blue eyes, in a long white robe. As I got closer to her, I felt the atoms in my body begin to energize into this feeling of total love and euphoria that is coming from her. The love this being is sending into me, I could literally feel in each atom of my being. The atoms were emanating this zinger of loving light as they vibrated at blinding speed that was a all over. I have no way to put it in words. No orgasm has ever reached a minuscule amount of what that felt like. She told me that in each chapter of our lives, we need to look for the lesson. Once we get that lesson, we can move on to the next lesson. Then she said, "Let me show you what I mean." All of a sudden I saw a photograph in the distance coming towards us at a very high speed. Once it reached us, we were in the photograph and could look all around at what was happening. The first photograph was my mother in labor giving birth to me. It was traumatic for her and for me. I almost died getting stuck. The doctor used forceps, and my newborn photos, my face, it totally bruised from the force. Then I saw the next photograph approaching, and I was learning to walk. The next I am in school. The next I am being bullied. The next I am in the hospital in pain as a child. The next I am studying piano music. Next, meeting my good friends in high school, still friends to this day. Next, falling in love, and so on. These photos start coming at light speed. The two of us never move from our spots. The photos come to present day, then beyond, right up until the day I am dying. I am in my early 90s. There is a nurse sitting in a chair. Above my head, I see holograms of medical monitoring. From the ceiling, I see a beam of light entering my left arm that is administering light medicine. I feel my breathing starting to slow. I see faces starting to appear around my bed. My husband, then my parents and siblings. My husband is holding his arms out to me, smiling. They all look young and are smiling. I see my three body, and then I am standing next to this woman in a field that has flowers and grass as far as we can see. She repeats to me what she said at the start. Look for the lesson in each chapter of your life, and once you get that lesson, you move on to the next. She also says when your life is over, you can choose to have this kind of life review just to satisfy your curiosity and remember the highlights of your human experience. You will see each chapter of your life and how your words and actions were felt by others from within their bodies. She says I will be heading back into my body and not to be afraid. She starts to walk away and I say, "Wait, who are you? Who were you in the earth life?" She says, "I was the wife of a very famous rock star known the world over. He is still alive. This is my work now to help souls understand their purpose and give hope when appropriate." She smiles and turns to continue walking away. I feel my soul pulled back, and into my body, waking up with a gasp and deep breathing. As soon as I see my husband, I tell him of my experience and then say, "I wonder who that woman was." He says, "My gut feeling? Linda McCartney." Now, I am not a Beatles fan at all. I don't own even one song of theirs. I Google her name, and sure enough, it's the woman in my experience. I've rarely shared this with anyone. Only the hubs. The love was beyond mortal words. I still think about it every day. The atoms in my being were each registering this overwhelming love energy. Can't wait to go back there one day. There are still days where I really struggle with this life. Every time I go to a funeral, I don't feel sad for them. I feel a deep sense of euphoria, knowing what they are experiencing right now. How all knowledge has been restored to them. How they are experiencing love to the very atomic level of their consciousness. I remember feeling deep compassion and heartache for my loved ones who were still in their bodies. My admiration was off the charts that they were taking on a life on this planet, which is considered one of the toughest planets to live on.
In Flowood, Mississippi, Charlotte recounts a chilling conversation her young son held with an unseen entity in their bedroom, an interaction he calmly identified as a monster.
My child scares me. There have been a few incidents, but I will share the very first with you. About 2 to 3 years ago, my son, who was 4 at the time, was lying in my bed with me, and we were trying to fall asleep. He was doing the usual kid thing when they're fighting their sleep, rolling around, speaking gibberish, playing with his hands. Then all of a sudden he stops and I feel him sit up in the bed. I am pretending to be asleep, so I just stay still and quiet. Then I hear him having a conversation, but I can only hear his side. "What did you say?" "What? I'm trying to go to bed." "You go get it, it's downstairs." "That way." "No, I'm trying to sleep, you go downstairs." "What?" "Ugh, I can't hear you, come here." And that's when I jumped out of bed and flipped the bedroom light on because he is not about to invite whatever this thing is into bed with us. And I asked him, "Buddy, who are you talking to?" And he points in the corner of the room and says, "Over there." And I said, "Baby, I cannot see who it is. You need to tell me who it is. Is it a boy? A girl?" The child looks at me and says, "Monster." I had a moment where panic ran through me, but growing up I had many paranormal experiences myself, so I sat with him and I asked him, "Do you want the monster to leave you alone?" And he said, "Yeah." So I had him repeat after me, and we told the monster to go away, and that he was not welcome to be in our home. My son decided to end it with, "Yeah, leave me alone." 2 minutes later, my son was sound asleep. I, however, was up for another few hours after that, laughing out loud. And this was the beginning of my child saying absolutely creepy shit.
The testimony of Emma from Fort Wright, Kentucky, describes her 8-year-old son speaking of a rebirth and a prior existence, echoing the loss of her daughter in uncanny detail.
My 8-year-old son recently, whilst coloring in randomly, started talking about how he came from my tummy, etc., and I agreed, and he confirmed, "But now I'm a big boy." Totally normal so far. Then he said, "Yes, I was too small before, but now I'm bigger." Still was thinking he was talking about being in NICU when he was born. He then said, "I was a rebirth, then went to heaven, and then grew in your tummy, and you're my mummy." I asked him what he meant and where was he before, and he said that he was too small before, so went to heaven. I asked who his mummy was then, and he said, M.E. My whole body tingled. Not only was this the strangest thing for him to say, no idea how he would know about rebirth, definitely never been discussed. The thing that really spooked me was the fact that he was conceived on the same day 1 year after our daughter, and his due date was the same as hers. She didn't survive past birth, and due to an autoimmune disease, we were given a very small chance of future success as she was the 4th loss. To find out he was there exactly a year after was like history repeating itself or someone somewhere giving us a chance to do it all over again. He is so beautiful, we often felt that she would have looked just like him, and we like to think he was a gift from her. We could only have him, we both nearly died after birth. But he's perfect, he's amazing, the most wonderful thing in my world, so I reckon he must have been a gift from an angel.
These accounts speak to a profound fluidity in the nature of being, where the threads of existence and identity can intertwine across what we believe to be impassable boundaries. The names of the witnesses have been changed to maintain anonymity. If what you have heard tonight mirrors something you have experienced, leave your story in a comment below and we will include it in a future episode. Don't forget to subscribe. You wouldn't want to miss